Welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough. I am your host, Angie Grandt, the generational healing specialist. And wow, what a summer we have had with so many incredible guests here on this podcast. So, if you're a new listener and you haven't yet checked out the summer series where I interviewed, oh man, parents and psychologists, just so many people who have such a unique perspective on this concept of generational healing. I can't even begin to thank these special guests enough for the wisdom, the practical tips that they brought to this podcast. So we're definitely not done doing guest interviews, but I'm going to take a little break from that and go back to doing the solo thing for a little while. I do have a couple of guests slated for recordings coming up soon, but I wanted to just take a quick moment before we get into the meat of this episode and just thank those beautiful guests for all that they brought to this podcast. And I wanted to say two quick things again before we jump into today's short episode. Um, First of all, as you've been listening to guests and to myself, I would love feedback. So you can email me. My email is in the show notes, but I would love to hear if there are special topics that you really enjoyed. I'd love to bring on more guests or bring back a guest that you really enjoyed. Or if there are topics that you want me to dig deeper into when it comes to trauma, attachment, behaviors, human design, um, uh, let's see, regulating your nervous system. These are all things that are so close to my heart and that I want. The whole purpose of this podcast is to help you connect better with your kids and those who you love most, because that, quite frankly, is where I was. I didn't know how to connect with my son in particular when behaviors were so tricky. And so I want to share what I've learned over the past several years with you so that you can start to shift the way that you're thinking about your kids, the way you're showing up for yourself, and ultimately the results in the relationship that you have with those that you love the most. So let me know what you need. I want to make sure that this podcast is right for you. So shoot me an email, find me on the socials. And the other thing that I wanted to say quick is that I have a YouTube channel. It's Connected Parents with Angie, just like all my other things. So this podcast is on there. Up until now, they've all been audio podcasts, but I'm going to start sprinkling in a few more video ones. And I'm going to, I don't know if I'll create a separate channel or how I want to do that, but I'm also an EFT, so an emotional freedom technique or a tapping practitioner. And I've been using this tool with my clients. I host a weekly class for an addictions recovery unit. And I use tapping myself. And I find this tool to be so incredibly powerful. So I don't know why I haven't been sharing it with you. So I'm going to create a channel and there'll be short videos. EFT is so quick and easy, and so incredibly powerful. So I just wanted to throw that plug out there that I will be throwing in. I don't have a plan to do like a regularly scheduled tapping session online because I do find it to be such a personal thing as well. So I wanted to share that with you that go over and check out Connected Parents with Angie. You'll find some trainings I had previously done. You'll find this podcast. And I'll be adding some tapping videos. So that's it. So let's jump into today's episode, which I pre-recorded before I had all my guests on. So I hope that you find the content still super relevant. It's a super short episode, but I know when I recorded it, I was feeling so passionate about this topic. So yeah, so take care and hopefully I find you on YouTube. Welcome back to Sometimes Love Isn't Enough. I am your host, Angie Grandt, and today I want to talk about what our kids remember. I don't know if you ever think about this, but when I look back on my childhood, for example, I, of course, have some good memories, some things that I really enjoyed. But I also know that some of the yucky things are the things that are the most apparent in my memory. I know that I'm not unique in this. In fact, It's actually part of the way that our brain is wired. We are wired to remember the scary, the ugly, the hurtful things because it's our brain's way of storing that information connected to our emotions in a way that we can try to avoid putting ourselves in that situation again. Which, when we really think about it, seems a bit counterproductive. It would make more sense to me to remember the good things and for our brain to be seeking that. And our brain is designed to do that. Our brain is designed to seek what we want it to seek. But when we think about historically humans and survival, our brain had to be wired to remember those things in a way that we could retrieve it quickly for our own safety and survival. When we think about our kids today and what they're experiencing, what life looks like for them, we know that at a much bigger level than what's happening in our own living rooms, that, my goodness, in the past 5 years, our kids have experienced a pandemic, as have we. Our kids have experienced this, this overwhelming sense of fear that has woven into the layers of everything that we do. This fear has woven into the way that we grocery shop, the way that we dine out, the way that we send our kids to school. It has woven its way into our medical care, into the way that we relate with friends. This, this overriding fear has become a, a part of our everyday life. And when we're wired to remember the bad in a more emotional way than the good, and we think about what our kids have experienced over the past few years, what we as parents have experienced over the past few years, what that tells me is that as we're moving into this energy of individualism, moving out of this energy of systems and structures and routines and trusting outside authorities, and we're moving into this energy of trusting our inner authority, trusting that I know what's right for me, maybe more than what some outside professional knows is right for me. When I think about what this means for our kids, when I think about what this means for how we parent, I feel like it's our duty to make sure that we ourselves are regulated, that we ourselves are tapping into the highest energy of our resiliency, and that we're getting our unmet energy needs met. Because when we're engaging in everyday interactions with our kids, when we're faced with, you know, our child getting in trouble at school or getting into a fight with their sibling, or when our kids are pushing back at us, if we're coming at them with this underlying current of fear that has been embedded in all of us, and this energetic shift that we for decades, actually centuries, have been in this energy of trusting outside authorities. When we look at the way that we're interacting with our kids every day in our living room, I feel like it's our duty to make sure that we're doing things to build their sense of self-worth, to build their sense of um, how much they value themselves just for being, not because of what they're doing. You know, we talked a while ago about this and uh, the praise and creating people pleasers, right? Like, I envision a world where we're building our kids up just because they are humans, not because of what they do or how much money they make or whether or not they can take care of us when they get older, when we get older, right? Creating this space where our kids see their innate value because they're going to need that. Our kids are going to need that as they grow up in this energy of individualism. When our kids grow up in this energy of needing to trust themselves, as parents, I want to do everything in my power to help my kids and to help my grandkids to trust that they know what's right for them. And and it's not just that, right? Like to me, it's not just about that energy that we're all as a society shifting into, but it's also about what we first started talking about in this episode. It's also about what we remember. I want when my grandbabies are adults and they're looking back and whether or not I'm still on the planet, I want them to look back and have a tank full of memories of me building them up. And I don't want them to have any memories of me breaking them down. I don't want them to hear words from me that are me criticizing them for who they are because they're perfect. Even when they don't get things right, whatever right is, even when they don't behave in a way I expect them to, even when they're not able to show up maybe the way that they want to. I I want to do my part to help build them up because they are the future. We've we've known that. We've been saying, right? Like that's just innate and our kids are the next generation. And we know that our kids are going to grow up in this energy for the next several hundred years. It will be their entire life of growing up in this energy of needing to trust that they know what's right for them, needing to step into leadership so that they can lead from a place of inner authority and not outer authority. That I see as my duty as not only as a parent, as a grandparent, as a coach, as a human who was given this beautiful design to break generational cycles. That is my path, my mission, my purpose in my design, and very much I feel it in my heart. I'm here to help break generational cycles because the way that we were living before, where we were trusting that perhaps a doctor knew what was best for us. Well, I can tell you over the past, I don't know, decade, couple of decades, somehow now we're supposed to trust that a TV commercial can tell us what medication we need for whatever ailment we have, right? Things are shifting, things are changing. And I want to do my part to really help our kids step into that. And I also want to make sure that I do my very best to not add to those negative memories that my grandkids have about me and about what that creates as their sense of who they are. So that's my task for you is to be very conscious about the words that you say to your kids and intentional about how we are helping to support these future leaders, helping to support our kids as they step into this energy that is about them stepping up as leaders. And it doesn't mean they all need to lead, but they need to trust their own authority. They need to learn that they it is our job to help our kids be courageous enough to stand up for themselves, to be in tune with what their body needs, what their mind needs, what's best for them, and to help them do that by continuing to shift the words that we say, continuing to shift our expectations, and continuing to ask ourselves every day, how can I help not only myself, but help my kids to build more resiliency so that I can do my part to help them step into who they were originally designed to be. So, thanks for hanging out and I can't wait to connect. So, let's talk soon.